Welcome back. Today, back in the shed, working on the Pink Panther. So in the last video, I installed the seats and I got the door trims on the passenger side, headlinings in. Off camera, I've been doing quite a bit. I got the clutches now all connected and adjusted. I had to make this standoff here because this is a Sigma clutch cable. So I had to make a bracket there to stand it off so that the clutch got the right amount of throw. So that's done now. It's all hooked up and works. I had to get pull the heater box back out to connect the heater hoses up. So you can't really see what's going on, but there's the factory one, the factory bypass hose there, the bit broke off, and so I got a T-piece and had to make some other hoses work, and so that's all done. It's all hooked up. I've got the wiring sort of spread out a little bit here. I've been mucking around with it, sort of figuring out what's what. I've still got to dig into that a bit more to figure out where everything needs to go and hooked up, but it all looks pretty straightforward. Underneath, I've got the tail shaft in, and I was just about to pull the fuel tank out, get that out and give it a clean out. And I also want to have a good look at it and see what I need to do to the tank to get it ready for EFI. I want to see if there's a nice flat spot on the top of it I can use to set up to get an aftermarket pump sort of set into it from the top. So I want to have a good look at that. So I'm going to get the tank out, and I'm not really sure where else we're going to go in this video. There's lots to do. I painted the steering box, so that's ready to be installed. I was looking at the column. This is a bad news story. Someone, I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure how I didn't realise before. I've pulled the column apart. I pulled the plastics off, but this has been hacked to hell. This is the wiring for the wipers and the indicators. Presume that these green pieces went on that circuit board there. I don't know which wire goes to where. It's impossible to figure out. And I'm not even sure what this side does. I think this might be the indicator, these three here. I'm not sure what these red things are for. And I think the green, yeah, I think they were for the wipers. Anyway, I'm hunting for another column. So if anyone's got a GC or a GD Galant column that hasn't been butchered, I'd appreciate it. I don't actually even need the column. I just need this stuff. I need all this wiring and I don't know what you call that thing, the honeypot wiper mechanism thing. As long as it hasn't been hacked apart, I can get that and adapt it onto this one. Anyway, if someone's got one for sale, please let me know. These are the plastics for the interior that go on the C-pillars. I gave them a quick coat of paint as well, so they can be installed at some stage. And I've got to get this back seat out so I can get seat belts installed, and there's a door trim to go on this side, and then all of the chrome that goes around the back window still needs to go in. So lots to do. Let's get into it. Man, that was a bugger. Anyway, got the fuel tank out. It's old and crusty, but it seems okay. these things got held up. These are these are vent lines that go between the tank and the filler neck. I'm not even sure how it works. I think as fuel comes in, it lets air, pushes air out of this and into the filler neck. Anyway, these things are as crusty as hell, and I couldn't get these off, so I ended up having to cut them, which is fine. As crusty as they were, they needed replacing anyway. But looking at this tank, this big flat spot here might work nicely for an EFI pump. I'll have a look. What I might do is I might pull out, this is the fuel level sender. I might pull that out and have a look inside the tank, make sure it's clean, and then pull all these old hoses and stuff off, give it a clean up, light coat of paint, and stick it back in, and then replace all of the old crusty hoses. And yeah, then we'll have got a fuel system for the carbureted version anyway, and then later on in the future I can drop it back out and put an in-tank pump in there. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, got the steering box installed. Actually runs very close to the exhaust manifold. It's probably maybe 15 millimeters away from, well, at least from the heat shield on the exhaust manifold. I could pull that off if I wanted a bit more clearance, but that'll be plenty. I put the idler, steering idler arm, whatever it's called, mounted that as well. Cleaned up underneath there and painted where the painted up above where the fuel tank sits. I pulled the filler tube out, cleaned that up, got all the old hoses off it. Oh, painted the tank, so I cleaned up the fuel tank and gave it a coat of paint. Then it started raining. Great. So it's drying. It's mostly dry, just need a little bit longer. And yeah, with that clearance to the exhaust manifold, I just need to, it's something I'm going to have to keep in mind when I go to build the turbo kit. Although, looking at it now, I don't plan to have the turbo anywhere down here. The turbo, I was planning on sitting it sort of here. And this is where the exhaust ports are, so that should be fine. That leaves plenty of room for a dump pipe and all the rest of it out the back there. Yeah. All right, cool. Next, I'm going to go underneath and bolt the steering all back together. Now that I've got the steering box in, I'll get that in. Like I said, because this column's stuffed, I could install it. The ignition switch works. That wiring is okay. I might end up having to install it because I really want to fire this thing up. Now that I've got the fuel tank cleaned inside and I've got the fuel line. Oh, that's another thing I did. This is the fuel line. I just need to straighten it up a bit and mount it. I can't remember how it was mounted. It might have clipped on down here to this thing. I'm not sure. I need to figure out how that's mounted. Anyway, get it straightened up, get it mounted up, and then connect it up. Connect up the return line, which I think is this one here. I don't think that's a vent. I'm not actually sure. I think that's the return line, and I think this one is a vent. I'm not sure. I'll figure that out, get all them connected up, and then with a bit of wiring, this thing will run. So that would be that'd be pretty cool. I'm going to make a parcel shelf for the car, somewhere for the speakers to sit, and also you've got to put something here to finish this off. I think from factory it might have had some plastics that ran along the bottom there. I can't really remember, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to cover this bit along here with vinyl, and then there'll be vinyl on the parcel shelf as well. And the plastics that I showed earlier, they go on the inside of the C-pillar there. So that should finish all that off nicely. Once I get all that in, I can then put the rear glass in it, which would be cool. Alright, that's in. So what I did was I traced out the pattern and then cut it to size, measured up for speakers, cut some holes, put some vinyl on and installed the speakers. Okay, so back on the wiring. So this is the Sigma engine, the Sigma ignition coil, but this is the Galant loom. So I've got the loom sort of draped across where it needs to go. I've actually installed I've bolted up the headlight relay and plugged in the headlights and that sort of stuff just to sort of get the loom in the position it's supposed to be in. And then I've got here the workshop manual, or the Gregory's Galant manual, and I've figured out that this here black and white, is the ignition signal that comes from the key, the switch, and white is the tacho signal that comes from the coil, the negative side of the coil back to the tacho. So I've taken this part of the loom off the Sigma, and it plugs into the distributor, into the coil here. And so if I can connect the ignition signal together and the distributor wire together, if I connect all them together, then that effectively, the Galant loom should work with the Sigma motor, which is cool. So I just need to strip these back and solder them up and put some heat shrink around them, and that'll be done. I've also figured out that this part of the loom here, that goes to the reverse switch on the gearbox to turn on the reverse lights. Not sure what that is. So if anyone knows, it's yellow with a green tracer. And this one here, this yellow with a red tracer, this goes to the temperature switch, or the temperature sender for the temp gauge inside the car. Got the radiator installed, ran a few more wires, plugged the starter in with the signal wire. I still need to run the main cable to the starter. This one here, which is out of the Galant, you can see someone's just cut through it when they've pulled the motor, which doesn't really matter. I've got the Sigma cables over here somewhere, so I might graft that in. Oh, while I think of it, I presume I'd grabbed this bit of loom out of the Sigma, this piece here, but this is the Sigma carby, obviously. I presume that's for the fuel shutoff solenoid, I think they call it, that little guy down there. Does anyone know how this thing's supposed to be wired? I presume that the black with white tracer, this wire here, I presume that's an ignition signal, so it just needs 12 volt keyed ignition. If so, that's great. I'll just grab it off the distributor over here. And I presume the white one is an earth or a ground. I don't know why it's white, but on the wire that actually comes off the solenoid, it's black. So I'm presuming it just needs 12 volts on one side of it and a ground on the other. If anyone knows, I'd appreciate letting me know, because that'll solve that little mystery. What else? I've got not sure if I've said it already, but I've got a brake master cylinder on order. I painted the booster, and the master cylinder seems to work. I filled it with fluid and pushed the piston in, and it squirted fluid out of both front brakes and the rear brake portholes. But I don't know, I don't want to take chances on it. 50-year-old rubbers and all that stuff. So yeah, I've ordered a new one, so that's on its way, and I'm going to go and put the fuel tank back in now. So that'll be next. Got the fuel tank in, which is cool. I can't do the final hookup for it, and I haven't installed the filler tube yet, because this hose here, which is the vent line that comes off the tank, goes into the filler neck here. It's an oddball size. It's I guess it's 12mm or 1/2 inch ID hose, fuel hose, and I have a hose, but it's not fuel hose of that size, so I'll need to get a short length of that. I can't put the tank all the way up until I get that hose because it's hidden once it's fully up there, so that's still to do. I haven't got a column solution yet. Might have hooked onto one from someone off Facebook, but not sure about that yet. So I need a column. Well, I could install this one, but there's no, all the wiring's messed up for the indicators and the headlights and the blinkers. So this column, I don't think I'll be able to make it work. The key on this one is okay, and the loom for it's there. So I think in a pinch, I could stick that column in the car, just have it sitting there, and plug the ignition switch in, and use that to power the car up. But I'm not ready anyway to do that, so there's no real point. I need to get a battery, and I've still got a bit more messing around with some wiring, and that's the fuel pressure switch. We can plug that in. There we go. Still a bit more messing around with wiring to do. Got to put some water in it, and then it should be ready to fire. Yeah, it should be ready to fire. It's coming along. Pretty happy with the progress. I'm not sure how long this video is going to go for, but I've basically been working on the car for the best part of 3 days. But yeah, well, thanks heaps for watching. I'll see you next time.